Hey everyone, we're here once again to talk and get a little bit more of a deep dive into the company XTM Incorporated. We've had some great interviews already with Marilyn Schaefer, the CEO, with Chad Arthur, the CTO, and now we're here with Dylan Erlendson. You were the Vice President of Sales, because today we were talking more about all the sales initiatives, the restaurants and the companies that are coming on board, and a little bit of a background about how these restaurants are taking it when you first speak to it. So to introduce you, Dylan, welcome, my good man.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely, and just to begin here, before we start going into some questions about the company and your everything that you've been doing with the company, can you speak a little bit about the roles that you were having before this and what led you into the position of being the Vice President of Sales?
Yeah, so I've been in restaurants my whole life. I started out as a dishwasher. I went to culinary school. I went back for hospitality management. I'll always be in restaurants in some capacity. And then I got introduced to XTM, global fintech company, wanting to specialize in hospitality as a vertical. I really believed strongly in the My Today card and the TipsToday product. But I also, more to that, believe strongly in the leadership of XTM. So when I met Marilyn Schaefer, I was all in.
Yeah, absolutely. That funny enough, even when we came to start covering this company, I've long career in hospitality as well. When I first heard it just made sense.
Yeah.
It made sense because of how annoying tips are and how annoying it is for businesses and restaurants to have to deal with them. So that leads right into the next question. Talking about the TipsToday program, when you're talking to restaurants, just curious, and for investors who are curious as well, are you finding people when you first tell them what TipsToday is and how you can help them, what's their first reaction? What's that sales call like?
It's funny, their first reaction is, why didn't I think of this?
Yeah.
And we always laugh, and it's nice to hear that the solution that you've created or that you're a part of is immediately, it resonates with a restaurant. Obviously going to the bank and the old antiquated, hey, I'm gonna get your due back, but I can't do it right now, I'm busy, and I gotta go to the bank, and then I gotta get back to the restaurant, but now I'm busy again, and then don't worry, I'll get to it, and I gotta stuff that envelope, and I got your due back, and then by the end of the week, you're getting your due backs from last week. It's just not really the way the world works anymore. So with a digitally dominated ecosystem, and that's the way we are now, right? Especially after the pandemic, all these restaurants have their revenue streams coming in on plastic, but that last piece is still paid out in cash. So when they hear about it, they are super excited. They want to know more, and that's the best part about it. It makes sales easy. When you have a good product to sell, it makes it a lot easier to resonate with the client.
Absolutely, especially when it makes sense to them and it solves a problem, which
Certainly
is cash. Now, one of those companies that you were able to bring onto the program is Earls. And from my understanding, they actually did a case study specifically on the cost analysis of taking this on and all that. Can you speak a little bit more on that study that they did and what it means for the company as well?
Yeah, so first and foremost, Earls is an iconic brand. We're excited, and we were very, very privileged to have them join. And a part of why they are so great at what they do is they want to understand from start to finish what it's going to save them. What are the efficiencies? This could be a really cool solution, and we like the flash and bang of the app, but is it really going to change our day-to-day operations in a meaningful, more holistic way? So they did a cost analysis, they did a return on investment, an ROI, and it came out that each store per year, so per annum, was saving around $6,000.
Wow.
They have almost 70 stores in Canada, and they have another, I believe, 11 down south. So it's a significant amount of money to be switching over to a solution like XTM's TipsToday that is free.
Yeah.
Right? So we were excited to have them on board, and then excited to watch them display that cost analysis. So when we saw it, we invited them we did a webinar with Restaurants Canada.
Yeah.
And we invited a regional and a general manager on the store level to speak to the other restaurateurs that joined that webinar. And it resonated with a lot of restaurateurs. Shortly after, large hospitality groups were calling. So we're very thankful for our partnership with Earls.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually have a testimonial from one of those companies as well. What company are we looking into, and the gentleman that we're going to be hearing from?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different great testimonials, because operators really, when change happens in their life, they want to be the first person to bring it to their ownership group and say, this is something that we've we found. This is something that's working, and it's like that little pat on the back for them, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to all the different hospitality groups, there's a number of them that have great testimonials, but the one we'd be talking about today is from Gusto 54 Group, the Director of Operations there, Demetrio Bianco.
Absolutely. Well, just before that, why don't we hear from him right now?
Yeah, hi. My name is Demetrio Bianco. I am the COO of Gusto 54 Group. We had a meeting originally a couple years ago with XTM team, and we tried. It was amazing. We all know back in the business was all about cash, and all of a sudden it's all our guests pay with credit cards. So there's no cash. And for me personally, lots of the time consumed just to make sure taking care of the daily cash and pay all our servers. We have many restaurants, and we have a few hundred people working for us, and weekly going to the bank and send them emails every 2-3 days in advance requesting it was huge amount. You're talking about $1,000 weekly. And go there and withdraw the money, and then a lot of ways of a managers sharing the money and make sure everything. So when Brenda, we had the first meeting, we tried, it was amazing. It took a little bit of time for the staff to accept that and where they understood the system, because they were used to collecting cash, of course, but turned out to be an amazing tool. We share with all the restaurants right away. We start with Gusto 101. And then across the board, a few months later, everybody, and we just love it. We just love it. It was a game changer for us.
And it's testimonies like that I love to hear about these companies where it really is making a difference for their business, for their employees, and like Earls was showing us as well, the cost savings that you can have over the years is fantastic to see. And that just leads right into our next question as well. When talking about XTM's market share currently within Canada, how is that going throughout 2021?
Yeah, so we're proud to say that we have every major syndicate across Canada. There's a few outliers that we are in contract talks with. We're becoming a household name. The TipsToday vertical, that brand, resonates with restaurants. That's the one that we launched at the Restaurants Canada show. That's the one that we're going to bring down south to the trade shows in the US. So we are excited and obviously very thankful for the involvement of all the major respected hospitality groups here in Canada. So there's a couple that we have to wrap up, but we mostly have them all.
Absolutely, and that's good to hear as well, because I know a lot of people speaking with investors, they're also asking, we speak a lot about restaurants, because obviously that's a massive bread and butter, as well as delivery companies as well.
Yeah.
But when it comes to different verticals, I remember somebody was mentioning, potentially golf courses and being able to integrate TipsToday into those. Are you currently pursuing those avenues, or is that going to be something big for XTM this year?
Yeah. So with the summer coming and golf courses opening back up, you always think, what does the Today card work best for? And it's gratuities. And personal care, we're going after that. Restaurants, we've got that championed. Drivers with earned wages and their delivery and their mileage from the delivery sector, we're championing that. But with golf, you think there's weddings, there's banquets, you worked at Deerhurst, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
There's a ton of different involvement that happens on a regular basis at golf courses, and I'm the guy on the ninth, on the turn, to always call over the cart attendant, and I tip them, graciously. And you always want them to keep a cold beer in your cart, a nice fresh sandwich. So there's a ton of gratuities flowing through golf courses. We have a very important meeting on April 1st, it's coming up next week, with a golf course management group. Mm-hmm. That manages over 75 golf courses in Ontario and has a scope of 500 across Canada.
That's massive.
Yeah, so they're interested in the vertical. We're doing a custom branded Golf My Today card.
Yep.
And we've got the domain set up. Marilyn's great with that. We've got the www.golfmytoday.com.
Yeah.
And we're excited to do a launch, because the more people on the rails, the better for us.
Absolutely. I'm excited to hear that. I'm sure investors love to hear about a new avenue like that, just like they love to hear group hospitality and just being able to get out into the States as well. Because everyone looks at Canada, understands, hey, it's very important to have a good market share here. But when you look at the size of the United States, it's just so obvious. There's so much more potential there. How's that expansion going currently with XTM in terms of talks that you're having with some of these American establishments and just in general, that big push to go into the United States? Can you just speak about that really quickly?
Certainly. So you're right. When you talk to a large syndicate restaurant group in Canada, you're talking 50 to 60 to 70 restaurants. Yeah. When you talk to an average sized syndicate hospitality group in America, you're talking about 700 or 1,000 restaurants. Yeah. So overnight, the company's value could continue to double up and double up just by that thing that we always speak about is gross dollar value loaded onto cards.
Yeah.
So we're having very strong talks with a number of large hospitality groups. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is we're doing a trade show launch starting July 1st.
Yeah.
And we're doing New York City, then we're doing Los Angeles, then we're doing Miami, and then we're doing Las Vegas. And at the end of the year, Brandon, we're going to a leadership conference with the top 160 CEOs in restaurants in Phoenix, Arizona. And we're doing, we've been invited to do a leadership conference with them.
Fantastic. Well, hey, I appreciate really much for your time, Dylan. Just, it's like we were saying at the beginning of this interview, we wanted to speak to the CEO, we wanted to see everything that's going on. You want to know about the technology, and now especially we want to know about the sales and what's going on that front. We're hearing about potential for golf courses. We're hearing about potential for further expansion in Canada. But one of the holy grails, obviously, is getting that expansion throughout the U.S. and to have those types of talks, to be on these roadshows coming up. So there's a lot coming up for XTM. Really excited about that, both as an investor personally, but for your company and yourself. I appreciate your time and look forward to speaking to you again as this continues to progress throughout the year.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Absolutely. Take care.